What is going on, guys? Jack here, and welcome to another Football Manager 2019 Top 5 video. Of course, this is another one of these videos I'm recording as I'm going to be away for the start of the beta. Hopefully you enjoy regardless. This, of course, going to be in FM18 using a summer transfer update. And yeah, we're going to be counting down 5 teams to manage in England. I've called it a top 5. These are, they are kind of in an order, I guess, but I think they're all equally as challenging. And to be honest, in England, there are so many good saves to do this year. If there's any that you are going to be embarking on yourself, let me know them down in the comments. And without further ado, let's get into this countdown. So guys, the first team in our countdown is Crewe Alexandra, a team that actually I have seen play many years ago. I went to see them play back when they were in the Championship. I believe they were taking on Norwich, and it was the year when Norwich first got promoted to the Premier League, which I think may have even been the season that they went down. But regardless, a club that, as you can see, since then really have tumbled down the leagues. Last season, if I'm not mistaken, they finished 15th, so a pretty disappointing finish for a team during their second season after relegation. But the reason I've recommended Crewe is, not only do I think they're kind of a fun team to do in, I want to say, the lower leagues of England. There is going to be one team a few leagues below this, but certainly League 2 is lower league in the grand scheme of things. They have something that's kind of stand out, and that is that they have good facilities in terms of their youth recruitment, and their training facilities are pretty reasonable. So that's kind of nice. And that's going to mean that you do get some good youngsters through in your youth intakes. If you're someone who wants to manage in the lower leagues but kind of have a bit of youth that's going to come up through your ranks to rely on, I definitely think this is a team to recommend. They do have some pretty good players. Kevin O'Connor's probably the best of the bunch. He's on loan from Preston in real life at them, if I'm not mistaken. But you can see, looking at their team, there are so many players here who are in the first team. I mean, you can see here we've got 13 players under the age of 23 or 23 or younger. If we look at homegrown status, you can see so many of these homegrown through the club. This is a club that is very much known for bringing its players through. And for a long period, it really kind of worked for Crewe. And whilst they still do have a reputation for bringing players through, I mean, the results on the pitch don't really speak of any real success with that philosophy. You've got two approaches really here. You can try and bring in fresh blood, you know, maybe rely on the odd player here or there to really kind of come through and add to your team, or you can take that real kind of pure grassroots, bringing young players up through the academy and through into the team. Regardless, fun challenge, slightly different to a lot of other teams in kind of the League 2 level, given their facilities. They've really struggled in the league the last few years. Maybe not a immediate promotion on the card, but give it a few years, you can have some very exciting players to develop or sell on to some big clubs that will inevitably be coming in for them. Okay guys, so number 4 in this countdown, it's going to be Pompey, Portsmouth. Yes, a team that I think most people globally will be fairly familiar with if you're at all familiar with English football. A club who, of course, have had the highest of highs, but in recent years found themselves all the way down in League 2. But they're a team very much on the up. 2 years ago, they were promoted into League 1. Last season, they finished 8th. So in their first season in the division, only narrowly missing out on the playoff spots. And well, this year, I feel like you're going to have the task of trying to push them that one step further. But yes, a very good team, of course, with the likes of their rivals like Brighton and Bournemouth slogging it out in the Premier League. This is a South Coast club that are going to want to be up there fighting in and amongst them. In terms of their team, very kind of good set of players. Joe Mason, probably the best player that they have. He is, of course, on loan from Wolverhampton Wanderers. I'm not sure if he'll be as good as he is here, because he is pretty blooming good in the grand scheme of things in FM18. But generally speaking, you can see here they've got a very talented squad. And actually, it's a fairly young squad. There are some players here like Jack Watmore, who I feel like this guy is probably one of the players to really build around. He's going to be 21, of course, in FM19. And if he's anything like he is here, he's going to be a fantastic player with the ball at his feet as a centre-back. And at this level, that's kind of hard to come by. Pompey, definitely a team capable of passing it out from the back, and maybe a philosophy to try and really, you know, I guess, breed through this team, because they've got the players to do it. Their facilities aren't too bad either, although you're probably not going to get players quite on par with Crewe. But regardless, as far as fallen giants go, Pompey are one of those, but on the rise. Stable finances, going to be challenging immediately for promotion first season, and well, only a few steps away from the Premier League. In my opinion, whilst perhaps not the most surprising of choices to have on this list, they remain an enticing option in FM19. Coming in at number 3 here in our countdown, we have Aston Villa. Now, this is not perhaps going to be the most surprising of teams, but a team very much going through turmoil in real life. At the end of last season, there was real risks that they were going to, well, go bust, pretty much. A lot of financial issues, well reported. They've kind of steadied that ship. But, of course, Steve Bruce, although he's shown here, he has gone. He's left the building. Can we edit him out with the editor? Terminate. He's gone. Right, we've done it for you, Villa. But that has just happened in real life. Of course, John Terry is no longer captain because he has left the club as well. But this is a club that, well, was so close to promotion last year, finishing 4th. But despite keeping hold of Grealish, things have really not gone swimmingly so far to start this season. But in a fiercely competitive championship kind of league, they are still a very, very good team that I feel like will be up there come the end of the season in real life, despite their kind of struggling start. Although it's not been the worst start in the world. I feel like it's just a case of when you look at their team and the expectations, Stevie Bruce just wasn't quite living up to them. But yes, Jack Grealish, I've got him on screen here. A player who was obviously denied a few moves to the Premier League over the summer. I have no doubt that this guy is going to be their main man in the team at come FM19. And also James Chester, another player who I think is probably going to be up there as one of their key men. If we take a look at him, of course, a very supremely talented centre-back, a Welsh international, a talented player. You'd have to say Villa's squad is pretty stacked. I don't think you're going to have that much money to spend the first season, but I don't think you should need it, really. Despite the Championship being competitive, if you can make some shrewd signings, perhaps, and steady the ship, you are a team who are going to be right up there. And as you can see on this transfer update, they are predicted to finish 3rd. Of course, you have got very big teams here. The likes of Stoke, Swansea, and, of course, Midlands rivals, West Brom coming down, are going to provide stern opposition. But your team is talented. Of course, Balassi, another player who has joined on loan for this season. Just one of a handful of names that really, you'd have to say, perhaps playing at Villa are playing a step down from the level that they should really be at. So the challenge really is going to be to get them to the big time and then hopefully push on and re-establish Villa as the Premier League side that they once were. So guys, coming in at number 2, one that is perhaps not going to be surprising to those of you who know me best, we have Hereford FC, a team back and finally playable in Football Manager this year. A team that you'd have to say long overdue to be playable again in Football Manager. If you don't know the story of Hereford, if you don't know about why they mean so much to me, I did a save with them a few years ago before they were, of course, in a playable league using a lower league database. And to be honest, they're a team that just deserve to be where they're at now. Last year, they finished top of the English Southern Premier. They didn't walk it quite as comfortably as their previous season, but they do now find themselves in the Vanarama National League North. And I'm just really happy for the club, to be honest. A fan-owned club, a club with very, very good attendances. As a result, their finances are extremely healthy for a club at this level, and that's something that you'll definitely be able to play off over the first few seasons. That solid supporter base, with thousands of fans going to each and every game, something to really scream and shout about. And whilst perhaps it's not quite as impressive as it was a couple of years ago, the fact that they're now in the Vanarama National League really speaks volumes for how well this club has been run. Of course, a team that, having, as you can see here, just tumbled down the leagues, financial instability really crippling the club, have fought back valiantly to find themselves where they find themselves now. In terms of key players, the key player it has listed here is Mayaby, who I'm not sure if he's still at them. But in terms of players who I know are still at them, I believe Ryan Green, for me, is the pick of the bunch here. The 36-year-old, former Welsh international. He might not look like the most impressive player, and I kind of hope he might get an upgrade in FM because he's a player who is extremely talented. I don't think he deserves to be as bad as he is in Football Manager terms. You can see, played in League 1, in League 2, obviously getting on a little bit now, but a player who's been a mainstay of their team for the last few years. If I'm not mistaken, last year I think he played over 30 matches, so his legs haven't quite caught with him yet. I think his experience is going to be really, really invaluable to be honest. But there are a few other players as well. Rafael, who I'm hoping is going to be here, is a player who I've been seeing a lot of fans getting quite excited about. Extremely fit player. Joined them, if I'm not mistaken, this season, I want to say, or was it last season? I think it was last season, actually, now I think about it. I think he got a few goals. Ignore me, I'm talking rubbish. I'm pretty sure he got double-figure goals last year from the wing. But yeah, Hereford, a team obviously not the most well-documented, given the fact that they have been played so far down the English pyramid, but finally playable once again in FM. It would be criminal for me not to include them. But yes, a very exciting prospect indeed in FM19. And coming in at number 1, guys, it wouldn't be a top 5 teams to manage in England if I didn't include one Premier League team. And it might come as a little bit of a shock because I've picked out Burnley as that team, a team who have the potential to get European football. Of course, failed to qualify for it in real life. You will get a second bite at the cherry. In just their second season in the Premier League, they went from finishing 16th 2 years ago to finishing 6th, which is absolutely incredible by Sean Dyche. Really, I can't believe he did it with the team that he's got. But in terms of challenging saves in the Premier League, this is exactly one of those. If that's what you're looking for, this is something that's going to give you just that. Because this Burnley side, as good as it is not a side designed to be challenging, never mind for Europe, but competing in so many competitions. If you do get to the Europa League group stage, you are going to have to be an absolute genius when it comes to squad rotation. As good as this side is, it hasn't got the depth I don't think required for a long European run. Please try and prove me wrong. If you can better the finish last year that they got in real life of 6th place in the first season, give yourself a coconut. That is going to be one hell of a challenge. In terms of where I think you should be aiming for, I think top half finish is not bad. Of course, Burnley, a team who don't have the budgets of some of the Premier League big dogs, but last year they showed that a stern defence can take you a long way. Of course, did sign Joe Hart in the summer. When you look at their team as a whole, they've got lots of very talented players. I feel like Robbie Brady for me is a player who I'd pick out as someone to very much keep an eye on. Obviously had a few injuries in real life, but has come back strong. In terms of centre mids, Jack Cook and Jeff Hendrick, pretty good in FM last year. Whether or not they'll be quite as good this year remains to be seen. But yeah, 2 supremely talented players. And of course, Stephen Defour as well. Means that they've really got some talent, but is it the talent for European football? I'm not so sure, but if you're looking for a medium to short-term save in the Premier League, I think Burnley may well be the save for you. I feel like there's been a few fashionable choices over the last few years. I could have gone with Southampton. I did consider teams like Fulham and also, obviously, newly promoted Wolverhampton Wanderers, but loads of people are going to recommend those teams. Burnley. I mean, they're William McKenzie from the In-Betweeners' favourite team. Apparently, they are my favourite team as well. And yes, they do earn the number 1 spot here in this countdown. So anyway, guys, that does wrap up this video from me. I do hope you enjoyed. I will say now, this was one of the hardest years I've ever had in terms of picking teams to suggest to manage. There were a lot of teams that I almost went for. To give a few honourable mentions, Tranmere Rovers in League 2, Sunderland in League 1. As I mentioned, Wolves and Fulham could have been right up there. I think Leeds United in the Championship as well, pretty interesting, as are Stoke and all the other newly relegated teams, really. But ultimately, the 5 that I picked out are 5 that I think are going to be ones that you may not have considered. So that was kind of the reason for going with those ones. If you have your own that I've not just listed in this video or just then, let me know them down in the comments. And if you did enjoy this video, don't forget to leave a like on it. It really does help me out. All the interactions on these videos does go a very long way. And yeah, of course, if you are new here, subscribe. You'll get notified when the next videos are going up. Anyway, guys, I hope you're as hyped for FM19 as I am. Hopefully, I'll see you on the next one. It is me, Jack, and I will talk to you guys in a bit. I'm out.